awesome to be here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for making time. As we were thinking about what to talk about, and with everything that's been going on for the last all of 3 or 4 months, the rest of us have woken up to AI. But one of the things that's most interesting about you in terms of AI is that you literally created a course about AI and trying to teach people what you have learned about AI. But the course came out in 2019. And so, I mean, that's where I want to start. Is how did you know that AI was going to be the next big thing in 2023 and 2019? And you did another course too. You've done several courses on it, but this is way before anyone was really talking about it. What was so exciting to you about it, 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, it's a great question because actually it goes back to my days as a founder. So I joined LinkedIn kind of late 2011 or 2012, and I came and I just wanted to work on mobile. And now it sounds obvious because mobile became a massive thing, but back then it was a startup thing. Mobile was a startup kind of understanding, and large companies still were trying to kind of grasp what mobile was about. They sounded enthusiastic about mobile, but didn't really invest in mobile as much. And I just wanted to work on mobile and had the opportunity to rebuild LinkedIn as a mobile product from scratch. But it was really the kind of the foresight of being a startup founder, like all of you, where you kind of see stuff which are kind of more on the frontier. It's almost like you can see the sun is about to shine someplace, and large companies are still trying to adjust to it. So in many ways, AI became that thing. Like with mobile, it was a whole transformation from LinkedIn, and it changed the way, not just how we build products, but how we use products. And AI is going to be exactly that. So for me, the biggest kind of revelation with AI, because I've learned AI before, I coded in AI, I learned it in university, but when I came to LinkedIn, I started to work on it in full earnest. And it was when I got to lead the newsfeed team for LinkedIn, and I remember, I got the mobile, the desktop, the UI teams, the engineering teams, the design team, and so on. And then, you use the product, and the AI team was separate. It was a horizontal AI team. So, and that's the most important part about the newsfeed is what gets, ranked. Like that's ultimately the experience. Like you can play around with the whole pixels of it, and that's really important. But really, what gets ranked is the most important experience. So for me, it was, AI is being treated like a separate part of the product. It's a horizontal team. So I shifted my entire mindset to just working on AI as a product. For the first time, I think at LinkedIn, we had a product manager working on AI. And I worked with the team, we worked on what does it mean to do objective functions? What does it mean to do features? And I realized there was a massive gap, just like it was with mobile, where product leaders, designers, even engineers were assuming that the AI thing was being dealt by the AI team and not thinking AI first. And in fact, I think the companies that started by thinking AI first build incredible experiences. So then I started to kind of talk about it and teach about it and preach it internally, and now at LinkedIn we have AI product leadership in every position, in every team, and I would say we're still there.
Yeah.
But I still see this with the industry where AI, at least for some of the large companies, is still treated as there's a team responsible for AI.
Yeah.
That for me is extremely off.
Well, you mentioned Reid Hoffman, who actually in 2018 sat here with the founder of this company no one had heard of, OpenAI, and spoke to him, and I mean, to be honest, at the time, he said he would speak, and he was like, "Oh, I want to bring this founder from this company, OpenAI." And we're like, "Well, I mean, you sure? Can we get somebody that's maybe people are more familiar with?" No, it's really cool. I want to bring it. And probably everyone, probably most people that were in that room probably forgot that they were here for that. But he's been so far ahead of it. What did you learn from Reid about as the founder of LinkedIn, co-founder of LinkedIn? What did he help? Did he help sort of educate you on any of this? What he was seeing half a decade ago?
It's a great question. So Reid for me is a mentor, who I look dearly to, and it's funny you mentioned about the OpenAI because I literally in 2019 in my course I basically ended by saying there's a really cool company right now. It's called OpenAI. And it's something really innovative because it's AI for AI, which is really unique. And it's a small team till today, by the way. It's not a large team. So go back to I don't know how large your startups are, but it's not a big team. It's a really smart capable team. Reed by itself is incredible. I can go on and on talking about Reed. He's more of a philosopher in my opinion. He almost like sees truths in tech and trends, understands them really, really well, and then being able to almost bring them back to principles and axioms about how you build and what is product market fit. So for me, most of my conversations with Reed tend to be very philosophical. What's interesting right now is, although it feels like there's already like this new foundation of AI being built, in my conversations with Reed, we share a lot of brainstorming around it. For example, one of the biggest elements right now in generative AI algorithms is prompt engineering. Raise your hand if you heard about prompt engineering. Great. Keep your hand up if you know how to do prompt engineering well. That's cool. Prompt engineering is one of the most important skills when it comes to generative AI. It's basically how you talk to AI. And this is not you going to ChatGPT and asking, write me something for 300 letters. There's a whole science and art to it. So we rethought a lot, me and Reed, about what does it mean to do prompt engineering really well. And when you think about it, prompt engineering becomes your interface between the human being and the machine. So if you know how to master that, you basically have access to probably one of the most capable brains ever built in history.
How do I be, if I want to become great at prompt engineering, where would I start?
Well, I would say one, there's actually, it's quite cool because the best practices are being built right now.
Yeah.
So if you start to really start to track it down, and you'll see a lot of best practices being shared regularly. For example, at LinkedIn, we've been investing in this for a long time, and almost like every day, like, what did you learn today? Folks who work on this basically call themselves almost like cognitive scientists because they're trying to like reverse engineer the brain. So it's really, really cool. But like one example we learned, by the way, and those keep changing because the models keep changing, is when you use uppercase, it actually like tells the machine that like you're serious. It's like this, take this like very seriously. This is, and then you want to repeat yourself. There's a recency. What you said last would be more factored. This is really important. The example I give is, I was talking to my 10-year-old daughter about quantum physics because I wanted to see like how we explain like really tough constructs. And I asked ChatGPT, hey, explain quantum physics for me. And he gave me like, 2 paragraphs, which I still didn't understand really much. And then I said, explain it to a 10-year-old as if you were, on PBS and you're this amazing like physics teacher and you're really passionate about physics and you want to make kids fall in love with physics and my child loves games. How would you explain it this way and make it fun? And I put the fun in uppercase. And it wrote this beautiful, beautiful explanation of quantum physics I finally understood about how quantum physics is like a game of hide and seek. But you can play, but you can hide in both places. You can show up in both places. It was unbelievable, but it took some craft to get that answer out.
How big is AI going to be? How big a shift? How important is it? I mean, as we look back, is it going to be bigger than the metaverse? Hope so. We had mobile you had sort of Web 2, sort of like a half cycle there. At some point, you're back to personal computing, the internet, excuse me, the web, and then personal computing back further than that. Like, where do you see it on the scale of, like, how serious should I be taking this?
Yeah, as serious as it gets. If you go back to like, personal computing in the 70s, to the internet in the 90s. To
so LinkedIn's going to rename the company to AI.
I think everybody should. .ai should be forbidden because everybody should be using it. But really, like, we're talking about the biggest transformation, I think, in technology that's happening in our lifetime. And it's not new, right? It's been, AI as a concept has been really coined in the 50s. It's just evolved dramatically ever since. Went for a few winters. And really, for the last 2 decades, it's been reinventing our lives. Whether you notice it or not, I can walk through how at least all of you had multiple touch points with AI throughout the day. Now, what happened in the last 3 months was you moved to a new foundational model. That's actually a term. It's called foundation model, which sets the basis for a whole new class of applications, which are just much more intelligent. So GPT is a foundation model. diffusion models are foundation models, and from that, you start to rebuild again. You can actually rebuild companies again. And that, I think, is a whole new transformation. You're getting to a type of technology that is able to comprehend in a way that we haven't been able to see before. Not just generate. I think the generate part is getting a lot of hype right now, but the comprehension side is just unbelievable. And from that, you can start a whole new wave of companies. So I would not be surprised if we all trace it back to this technology to see some pretty groundbreaking innovation coming up.
So as I think about like building my product and or even before that, as I think about like how to solve problems, and now I'm thinking about like, okay, how could this product or the solution become transformational, or become something that people can't live without? And as I think about how to bring AI as a key part of that solution, like I've been trying to wrap my head around, like if I think about Clay Christensen's theory of disruption, and I'm thinking of like coming in and disrupting X SaaS tool, let's say the public company SaaS tool, and they solve the problem in this way. Historically, I would say, okay, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna do it cheaper, I'm gonna do it with better interface, I'm gonna kind of like cut corners here and there, maybe it's with mobile first, that sort of thing. I can kind of, but now with like, is that still, when I'm trying to think about AI, is that still the way to do it? And it's like, okay, I'm going to kind of do it like that and then bring AI into it? Or do I need to like fundamentally go back to the problem and start with AI as like the core of the solution?
Yeah, 100% the latter. You can do well with your product by adding AI to it. You'll see things move, you'll improve, you'll see changes, and you'll improve the product, you'll enhance it. But I think these foundational models require us to go back to the drawing board. And the reason I like founders is you're all in the room because you have a deep insight about a problem that you really believe in, right? There's a high conviction you have that others do not about a problem that you believe in strongly. I would go back to that conviction about a problem, and I would start from there. And I would kind of, in a way, I know it's hard, it's easy to say and hard to do. I would let go of the solution you have today. Because if you really want to innovate, and you just try to tag it along to your solution, you'll improve your solution. 100%, you'll enhance it, you'll improve it, I have no doubt. But if you want to really innovate, go back to your deep insight that you all have as founders, and say, if I go back to the drawing board and I build my company from scratch today, my product, how would I build it with this technology? And you're most likely going to come back with a different solution, which is going to be groundbreaking. I don't think just adding it will lead you to a groundbreaking solution. Think about mobile. Some of the best companies in the world started because somebody had an insight which was about how do I take a problem and solve it in a mobile-first way? Thinking about location, whether it's Uber, thinking about filters and camera, which is Instagram. Like that type of innovation started not because somebody said, I have a desktop experience, I'm going to improve it. They said, I have the same problem. How do I innovate with this new technology? So you walk backwards from your insight from the problem, but you go backwards all the way to this technology.
Okay, so AI is going to eat the world. Like, is there any limitation to AI? Is it just going to solve everything?
I think we're going to just see more and more foundational models. So AI is going to, unlike some of the other hyped tech terms we had in the last 4 years, this has been for a while, this is here to stay, and this is here to accelerate. So if anything, the pace of acceleration and innovation is gonna, I think, take a turn we haven't seen yet. So it's really about keeping up, in my opinion, and building really strong ties to this technology, understanding how it works, rooting yourself, still falling in love with the deep insight you had about your company. That should not change, but going back to this technology and thinking about how to do with it. But this will just be a new foundational model after another. You can all think about what's going to come after GPT-4. I don't
5, of course. I mean, I can figure that out.
And that's going to be much, much better. And it will take, shorter amount of time. And then after that, again, so you can see where I'm headed with this, but this requires you to continuously learn.
Use cases you're most excited about for AI?
Oh, there's so many. Like,
Does it make you want to? I mean, he's got a good job. You got a good thing going. I don't want to mess that up, but like, does it make you want to go? Start scratch,
it is amazing to talk
yeah.
with companies today. It's fascinating to talk to founders about ideas because, like, when I talk to them about what they can do with this technology, and I enjoy riffing about product. I could do this all day long. My job is my hobby. But when I take somebody's problem and we go back to this technology, it's so much fun because you literally go back to the drawing board. And for me, it's like, you know, you're a kid in a candy store kind of thing. The use cases are so vast. Like, I could go from agriculture and crop management and design to Hollywood and how can I do scripts and do movies all with this thing to research. You know, one of the biggest problems in research is there's like thousands of papers being published on every regular moment. And it's really hard for researchers to know what's being done right now so they can accelerate their research. But imagine this technology is able to comprehend super well. So you can say, hey, this is my field. Share with me everything that's been happening. That should accelerate innovation like crazy. Learning, which is LinkedIn has a learning business, one of the hardest, it's the largest learning business in the world.
Wow.
One of the hardest problems with learning is it's vegetables, right? It's like, it's hard for people with learning. But we all know that if somebody's able to like really tap into the way you learn, the stuff you're excited about, learning becomes fun. The problem is learning is not fun because everybody's trying to push you their theory in a way which is generic. But imagine, just like I give the example of my daughter and how I was able to explain quantum physics, taking the stuff she enjoyed. Imagine building learning in a literally personalized way, like not tagline personalized, truly personalized way to every kid. It's incredible. I can go nonstop.
Well, we have a timer here, and I just want to apologize to anyone that is in charge of that we are not going to end when that timer ends. So I'm just giving you a heads up. We're going to keep going. I've got so much. I could literally talk to you about product for hours. You know, you see so much at LinkedIn, and you know, one of the things I've heard you say, which everyone in this room needs to hear about, is how you talk about product-led is everything. And as somebody that's not been great at product-led as a B2B SaaS person, like I would love, tell us about why and what headaches and heartaches I can save by making product-led at the core of everything that I build in my product.
So a confession to make, I have a hard time with the term product-led growth because I don't understand what is not product-led. Like, in my opinion, like, if you want to build an amazing solution, you bring it all the way back to product and you build it correct from the beginning. Now, for me, it was the way I came to that understanding was actually when I started my career as an engineer. I worked in semiconductors engineering, and I worked in software embedding, working on voice over IP systems. And I was an engineer in Israel, and we kind of pride ourselves on like building some really cool technology. And we had no product managers in the company. So as the engineer, I was the one, you know, figuring out what do I build, and I think I met a customer maybe once a year. And I was just trying to build the best product I had based on what I thought was cool technology. Like, how do I make it with the, you know, least power, the most speed, like the least space, and ended up building really cool technology that won prizes, but nobody used. And when I came to the Valley, it was a massive realization around like getting really attached to the job to be done. Like, how do you solve it? And then going back all the way to your company and trying to solve it in a product scalable way. So for me, I kind of shifted the mindset because I saw a company that was truly innovative in technology, but really poor when it comes to building products people actually use and companies actually use. So we won accolades on technology all day long. We actually invented G711, for folks who know voice over IP. That was the first codec for voice over IP. But we didn't go super long because we built cool technology that was looking for an application. And what I love about this product-led is everywhere, it's everything, is you work backwards from the job to be done, and then you try to solve it for the product. Now, you might be thinking, hey, I don't have all the resources to build everything for the product. I don't have 50 engineers who can work on everything and build it, and you're correct. But at least you know what's the product you would like to build. And I think that's so powerful. You can close those gaps with other things. You know, you can do phone calls instead of a customer service application. But we're moving to a place with AI, it might be that's going to bundle all the things that are very drudgery today, will be solved for you for AI. But it's still about that insight that you had, and it's less about the technology. Technology is super important, but it's only useful if you have a good insight what you're trying to solve. So for me, that's the product-led everything.
Here's the other piece, which you joined LinkedIn in 2012, and I remember, LinkedIn in 2010, 2011, 12, it just felt like you're getting bombarded with emails. It felt like something really changed between, and I'm thinking it was you.
It was a whole team. I was part of a massive team.
Yeah, whatever.
Seriously, we're part of a massive team.
It was you. So, but we all lived this evolution together as everyone was on LinkedIn. It was like everyone's always been on LinkedIn if you've been in tech. But to see it become the product to evolve and become so powerful and to change and just shift. I've almost rarely seen a product, especially a consumer product, that got so much better, so much more useful over time. And I think the product is really at the core of that. And so I wanted to understand from you, how do you tie, maybe going back to for small teams and small startups, how do you tie your company vision to product, and then how do you bring about just an overall product culture across the whole org?
So I would actually credit everything from Reed, who had the deep, just like you had a deep insight about the way you help people progress in their career, is you connect them with their network. That was the original insight for LinkedIn. If you go back all to the Series A, Series B decks, it's about the network. You can achieve anything you're trying to do in your life if you have the right professional community around you. That was the insight. We built a whole company around that. And then with Jeff, who came along, Jeff Winter, our former CEO, it was really about how do I codify that vision into economic opportunity for every professional, and how do I bring it down to every aspect of our product? And that for me was something I've learned coming into LinkedIn. So it was definitely something I learned and became part of that I actually led. But everything at LinkedIn, if you walk in the breakfast, scenario, you ask, what are we trying to build? Everybody will tell you the same thing. Because everybody is they all believe in the vision of the company. That helps you, in my opinion, it helps you focus on what matters most. So if we, for example, I did this interview recently, we talked about what is LinkedIn optimized for? And I said we optimize for how many hires we drive in the economy, how many brands and buyers we connect, how many learners we connect to each other so they can learn together, how many moments of skills you're getting, how many skills you're getting to your profile and you're adding. And folks are like, what about time spent? I'm like, we don't care about time spent. We don't measure time spent. It's not tied to the vision. You can be extremely successful as a professional just by focusing on those true norths. And I think that ties all the way back to Reed and Jeff. And obviously for Ryan Roslansky, who's our CEO today, bring that product-focused ability in. That's been our sweet spot. So I think for you as founders, I would say the biggest insight for me would be make sure you're codified your vision, and that works all the way down to every team. Whether you're a 10-people team, 5-people team, 100, 200, 1,000, it scales beautifully. You can visit every office of LinkedIn anywhere in the world. They'll tell you the same thing, because that's what we believe in.
Yeah, I think I've heard you say something like, we might be wrong, but we're not confused.
Yeah,
right?
That's something I personally believe in. I see a lot. This is also a startup thing for me. I think with startups, you don't have the luxury of being confused, because you have to make a bet, and you have to move forward with conviction, and you have to make sure everybody's aligned to it. You cannot hedge. You don't have the ability to hedge. But what I believe in, it goes well beyond startups. It goes all the way to large companies as well. And in companies, I think what happens, you get larger and larger, there's a tendency to sometimes not agree, but not really talk through it, not close, and not move forward with conviction. So I would see that clarity of thought missing around the team. And a little bit like, you hire type A people, they don't want to be wrong. So they add so much time and so many qualifiers, and they're just trying to get it right. And I honestly think that when you build a company, like, you're not trying to optimize for how many times you're right. Like, if you're not trying to avoid mistakes, you're trying to just move fast with conviction on ideas you have. And then when you hit a wall and you're not okay, just course correct and move for the next thing. So I would often tell my team, hey, I don't mind being wrong. I mind being confused. Because when you're confused, the chances of you succeeding, is so slim, just luck will save you. If you're not confused, you really have a chance of success. And even if you're not successful, you can learn because you knew exactly what you were trying to accomplish. So it's that clarity of thought all the way from what are we trying to solve, all the way to the solution, and feedback loop with the learning. But there's so many cases that I would see people trying to solve for different things, and the chances of success just like evaporated. And it happens more than you think. I hope it doesn't happen in your companies. But it happens because we tend to, we don't always align. We try to avoid conflict versus trying to close on things.
I think, so I could see somebody saying, oh, well, you're LinkedIn. You have how many people on your team?
13,000, 1,300.
1,300?
Yeah.
Just the product team?
The product team is like the product team, designers, business development, editorial.
It's like, oh, well, you got, Tomer, you got 1,300 people. Like, of course, like, you just have unlimited resources, you can do whatever you want, but actually, for you to be able to have, and the team to drive that clarity and to have that, it's so much harder than at a small company to bring 1,300 people into the same, the same boat, in the same direction. But as, like, LinkedIn's 5 businesses, 1 consumer business with 5 enterprise businesses like on top of it. But it seems like you innovate so fast that you've been able to almost like compartmentalize or to figure out, hey, look, this is our overall vision, but here's you're doing this part, and bring it all together. And if I'm a startup, it's, hey, I don't have unlimited time, I don't have unlimited resources, but it's even more important that I get that clarity of product vision and crystallize it. If I haven't been able to do that, like, how do I figure out how to do that? I've had this problem where I have different pieces of the product and different pieces, like everyone's not united in it. How do you figure out how to bring it all back together with very few people and limited time?
Yeah, it's a great call. But there's this, fallacy that large companies can do everything, and yes, they have more resources than you do, but they also have a lot more priorities than you do. And I think actually your biggest advantage is that you should have one priority and you should nail it. I think that's your biggest advantage. I think for me, when you have conflicting opinions, goes back to your role as a leader. Your first job is to generate clarity for people, and it starts with your vision. So if you know what you're solving for, you know why, because that's your vision. It starts with that deep insight you have. Then you can go back and you can say, hey, this is what we're solving for. Anybody has any misunderstanding? If there's misunderstanding, spend the night, spend the week, just make sure if somebody disagrees, it's completely okay. Disagreements are fine. Misunderstandings are not fine. They create churn. Just make sure you have that clarity of thought at the beginning. And then say when you see people disagree, just ask them, what are you solving for? And what are you solving for? And most likely they're solving for different things. So the conversation is mute. There's no point having it. You can literally just untie it and say, here, let's first agree what are we solving for. And as the leader, here's what I'm trying to solve for. And from that, you start to retract back. Otherwise, they're going to spin around for a long time trying to solve for their own interests.
As you said beautifully, we might be wrong with the hypothesis, but we won't be confused.
Exactly. Again, being confused will get you nowhere. If you're not confused, you have conviction. You might be wrong because who knows, but at least you have a real chance of success.
Tomer Cohen, Chief Product Officer at LinkedIn. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.